Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm sorry it's been so long since we have been here. It's been spring and weeds, and we're putting up a fence and surveyors and all kinds of stuff. It's been pretty crazy. So my apologies. I know the 23.472% of you, where's the new video? I know it's driving you crazy, but sorry. So here's episode 4 of the Ranchero build. I usually sit down and try to figure out what I'm going to say before I say it, which takes a lot of time. I'll have to be honest with you. This has been kind of a pain in my butt, but you know, it is. Instead of reading through some script, which I never follow anyway, I try, but I don't do it. I'm going to basically use my little tablet here, going through the form, which brings up the pictures and kind of what went through. So I'll kind of pause, read what the next thing said, and I'll tell you about it and go on to the next picture. So maybe a little disjointed this time, but I have to do something to get this thing out because, you know, I don't want it to be another month. So the last time we were here, I had finished the rear flares on the Ranchero, kind of got them in, got some basic body work done on them, just enough to kind of say, okay, it's good enough to slather some product on it, as one of the guys I watch call it, Bondo for the rest of you. But I have done some of the smoothing out. I have a guide coat, as some would say. Usually it's black, but I just kind of sprayed it kind of to make it look the same color, just so I could stand back and say, yeah, I like that, or I gotta change this. Mixed up a bunch of paint that I had and kind of made a color. It was not the best color. Some people liked it. I mean, I showed it on the forum, kind of a gunmetal gray. It looked okay, but the more I worked on it, in fact, some of the color on the car, the cowl there, and some of the door jambs are painted that color. You'll see in these photos that I did spray a lot of this gunmetal gray on it before finally deciding, you know, definitively that I'm going to spray the whole car satin black instead. I wasn't really happy with my body work, and I told you previously I hate body work, and you know, I knew it was going to need a little bit more than I was willing to give it at the time. I mean, I really did plan to get this car done in like 4 months. I mean, that was the goal. We're reaching the 4-month mark now, but I have to check my math and see where I'm at. Yeah, so I just checked, I paused and checked. Yeah, we're coming at up to the end of the 3rd month so far to get to where we are here, which, you know, by all accounts is pretty stinking fast, considering I had a day job as well, and this was being done when I was getting off of work after pretty stressful, very stressful work project that I was in the middle of, a big software development thing that I was doing. To get off of work, to come in and build a car afterwards and be 3 months along and be this far into it, I was impressed with myself. I put a vinyl roof on the car. The roof, once I kind of got into it, and I don't know if people were climbing on it or whatever, but the roof on this car was as bad as the rest of the car. I mean, it was so bad. And somebody had, you know, done some kind of Bondo work on it. So I just scuffed it really good. I purchased some vinyl roof material for an actual sedan. You're seeing a picture of the vinyl roof that I did. It turned out okay. I mean, I did it by myself. It was really kind of a two-person job I had discovered, but I couldn't really find anybody available at the time that I wanted to do this. So I just said, okay, I'll do this half and then I'll do the other half. And it came out okay. And then I moved on to the interior. The interior was painted. And for me to do the glass, which I wanted to do fairly quick here, I needed to get the headliner up. And I'd never done a headliner before. I knew it needed to go between around the pinch welds of the windshield and the pinch welds of the back glass, but I had never seen the interior of a Ranchero. So, I kind of glued it up. I pulled it straight and kind of glued it to the back panel. Then it kept pulling away, and I was questioning people on the forum. People were saying put gun racks to a whole host of things. Anyway, I did eventually get the thing up there. It's not correct. Someday, if I ever pull the back glass out, I would redo it, but I did get the back glass and the windshield in. I had my brother-in-law, who has since passed away, rest in peace, Rich. He came out and helped me get the windshield put in. That is definitely a two-man job, preferably a three-person job. I had Gene, as you saw in the earlier videos, we cut the shock tower support braces out that go between the shock towers and the firewall, which keep the shock towers in place. Unibody, you kind of want some structure. A lot of people use things like Heim joint support braces, but they made a stamped steel one that I found. Some guy was selling it on the Craigslist. That's what you're seeing in this picture, is the stamped steel shock tower brace being fitted, and it works good. So we are officially in the 4th month of working on this. I have installed the 2-speed wiper. Actually, the 2-speed stuff is later 70s F100 pickup. So the 2-speed wiper motor will mount directly to the bracket that goes in the Falcon. So anybody that wants to convert to later model wiper motor system, get away from the Falcon single speed, and you can pick up a wiper system out of a early 70s pickup. You can't use the transmission parts. You have to use a Falcon transmission part and the arm part of it that does the rotating part of the transmission. You use that, and then it's a very simple wiring system, and then in between the 2-speed switch, and which has to be the intermittent style switch, there's a little box. It's really pretty simple. The transmission parts bolt right up to it. I mean, the wiper motors are pretty ubiquitous. They're, if you can find an old pickup still that somebody's getting rid of, pull the wiper motor. You see pictures of me doing that, and putting the intermittent switch, which is a little fatter body thing than the standard switch. I just reclocked. They put a flat on the switch. I filed another flat on the switch and rotated it, and that gave me a lot more room. I ran the fuel line from the front to the back. You see a picture of that. I also moved into putting on the front suspension work. So also, you see the master cylinders on, the brake lines and all of that is run. I don't think I have the wheel cylinders or anything installed, and the brakes bled quite yet, but it's all in there. It's got disc brakes on it now, so at some point in time I did have to change the master cylinder to disc drum style, but the master cylinder you're seeing in this picture is drum because that's the way I built the car originally. You'll also see that I do have the brake and the clutch pedal hanging in there too. You'll also see that I cut the dash. I know you guys are going to hate me for it. I read so many comments about people, the guys that cut the hole in the dash. I'm sorry, but I'm an audio guy, musician. I mean, I've been in bands, since I was, in my 20s, and I like music. My old panel truck, it had a sound system in it that would basically, I have tinnitus now, really bad, and I'm sure that it's because of that I have tinnitus. So you'll see as I go on this journey with you the sound system that I put into this Ranchero. So you see the radio. I mean, I'm looking at the picture. Oh yeah, that's where I cut the hole in the dash. You also see sitting on the floor, I got some the spring perches on these things. There where the bottom of the springs sit on the top upper control arm. I did change those to the non-bushing style. I mean, the thing you'll hear Fords go, that's the upper control arm bushings usually. The perch is the spring sitting on that squeak on these old Fords. It's because they're not made to swivel. The first 2 years of a Falcon, 60, 61, they made those with bronze bushings so that they did swivel. So that as the upper control arm is going up and down, the bottom of the spring can kind of rock with the upper control arm. When they made the upper perches with a solid rubber mount, I mean, it's just like, trying to... Maybe it was to improve bump stop. I'm not 100% sure. I bought a set that actually will move. You can even grease them. The other thing you'll see if you look at the under the dash picture, I've got the firewall insulation on. And you'll also see that even though this is a 63, I wanted the 65 style air vent on the driver's side. The little flip door thing, which is a good stash place, just so you know. Don't ask me how I know, but it is. Anyway, I wanted the 65 style pull for air for the driver's side. I mentioned earlier that I had to put the 3 studs when I did the cowl. That's so I could bolt that thing up. Anyway, you'll see the picture of that is installed as well, and it looks like I have the cigarette lighter put in and the headlight switch put in, even though I don't have the wiring hooked up. The 63 also had the fuses on the headlight switch, which I don't know what they were thinking. You gotta pull the dash out to change a fuse. All the wiring from the battery into the car was not fused on this. It is now on mine, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned that before, but if I didn't, you do know. So I wanted to go to the 65 headlight switch as well. I made my own wiring harness for this car. I've made my own wiring harness for pretty much every car that I've owned. I pull it all out, and it's like to be able to improve it for whatever I'm going to put into it. That's kind of what I do. It's a safer car. The 65 that I went out and pulled parts of that Steve had, it hit a telephone pole or something. It hit the front core support, and the wiring was running in that, and it literally just crushed the wire. So even if the car survived enough to be repaired, it probably burned all the wiring up because it just crushed that. And the battery's still connected. All those wires go to ground, and you let the white smoke out, and it doesn't go back in. This is kind of a funny picture, but it kind of echoes the beginning of this video where I was talking about spring having sprung and having to do. We're doing so much work on the property here that just kind of filling up yard waste totes, and you gotta spend some time keeping the place, your property up. I was single at the time. I could care less about what was going on in the property. I was focused. I had a 4-month deadline that I was trying to beat, but here's a picture of the kind of stuff that kind of happens when you don't take care of your property when you're working on your car. So in these pictures, you're seeing me start to put brakes together. Got the front backing plates on. I got the wheel cylinder mounted to it. Just starting to kind of get it all assembled. For the most part, all of the structural part of the car is done, and this is all bolting stuff on now. So the backing plates and everything had been powder coated over at Steve's Powder Coat Shop in Squim. The rear end is going in, and it's at this point in time that I'm starting to see my oopsie daisy with the wheel flare location. The rear end is about to go in, and it's at this point in time that I set it on the the pins that bolted through the springs. They are new springs that I put into it, and it was at that point that I realized that my wheel well opening was not exactly in the right spot. So I don't talk about it relative to these pictures. The rear end is going in with the stock U-bolts and stock kind of a rubber thing that I got in that pile of stuff. I didn't really show it not centered up. Sorry. The next set of pictures is showing me centering up the rear wheel on the opening and how I did it. You can see a picture of it centered, and if you look at this picture, you can see that I have a new hole in the bottom of the shock bracket that the U-bolts go through. You can see that the pin for the leaf springs, I had to move the rear end back 2 inches, and to do that I had to also make a new hole in that shock absorber lower bracket to move that thing back as well. So you can kind of see a picture of another hole. And I used a 1-inch block that actually had an opening that allowed that pin just to kind of float. Turned out that probably wasn't the best thing, and I do change this at some point in time with a solid block that I drilled that through. And then I eventually changed it to an adjustable where you could actually turn a screw and adjust it. I don't show that in these pictures, but this is the process that I went through just because I didn't put that round flare where the center of the leaf spring was supposed to be for the rear end. Mistakes made, ways to fix it, you find solutions. It also says that I put the steering column, and you can see in this picture a part of the red steering column going through. The steering wheel that I want to use the stock Falcon horn button for, instead of some Grant, chromey thing. So you'll see that I did manage to make it work with the Falcon horn button. And then I go into trying to seal up the gas tank that this thing had. I did find a pinhole. A previous guy, Steve, had tried to seal it up, but it did have a small pinhole in it, and he powder coated the whole thing. I did eventually I broke down and bought a replacement tank for the thing. But the old original tank is in. It was used briefly. You could get a 60 to 63 Ranchero and wagon tank for this. But they wanted like $300 for it, and I didn't really want to spend the money at that point in time. I had to make, because of the Jaguar cap, I had to make a new means to connect the Jaguar cap to the tank that was in the car. So you're seeing a picture. It's kind of a mixed picture, but you see the paper cut out. I took that to a local muffler shop and had them bid me up a piece of galvanized tubing, which is the gas filler, and it's still in there, and it works just fine and dandy. And now I'm getting kind of serious about, okay, what am I going to do with the motor? The 6-cylinder that was in this, that I could have driven to New York if I wanted to, I decided I needed to look at it. It had a timing cover on it, so I wanted a kind of a high output alternator, and the brackets that you mount to the front of a 6-cylinder needs to have the correct timing cover, and it was broken, the part of the timing cover. I decided, let's see how good a condition. I didn't know the condition of the 6-cylinder, so I decided I was going to go ahead and do at least a re-gasket of the thing and see if I could come up with a way to fix the timing cover. So I pulled the timing cover and the oil pan, and you see pictures of that. And it was at that point in time that I realized the bearings were kind of not looking too good. There were parts of the thrust bearing that were just totally wiped. So I decided to go ahead and pull the crank. The crank actually looked pretty good. I mic'd it out, and it was actually standard bearings on the thing. So I went to my machine shop that I deal with here in Seattle, and he found me It was very hard to find standard main and rod bearings for a 206 cylinder. I did get a set. They were not cheap, but I went ahead and cleaned up just polished the crank, and I replaced the bearings. I guess I replaced the timing cover. I must have found another one. Then the next pictures you'll see here show the motor put back together and the big alternator being mounted to the front of it. In the midst of all of this 206 cylinder work, I did bring up the fact that I had purchased a 289 off of Craigslist from a guy. He had a full 60 over block. He had heads, he had cams, he had 2 oil pumps. He had a whole bunch of stuff. I paid $500 for it all. I debated whether at that point in time, because I was building this with V8 suspension and everything, to put a V8 in it. I just wasn't quite ready in my brain to put the V8 in. I got a FMX transmission with that block, but I didn't want to put a FMX transmission in this. And I didn't have another transmission. It would have been an added expense. I had the Dagenham 4-speed that was behind the 6-cylinder that I had planned on using. I was familiar with that because I put one in my wagon. So I just wasn't really prepared. But I discussed the 289, and it was at that point in time that I decided I was just going to stick with the 200 and do that. So just keeping in context with the thread in the forum, that was discussed, but I decided against that. Now we're putting in the motor. It's in already. Gene came by and we put the motor in and bolted the exhaust stuff up, and the exhaust didn't line up, so I had to do some modification there. Found out that when I went to put the clutch on, needed a new bushing, so you see how bad the bushing was in that car too. So I did a little bit of looking and found out they were back ordered everywhere. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I decided I'd kind of put that on the back burner and pull out the Dagenham and start doing some investigative work on what that was going to take to get together. Now I show a picture of the Dagenham as I pulled it out, and suspect I'm going to get to the place where I pull that apart. So I decide to go ahead and tear into the little Dagenham, and you've seen pictures here of it kind of taken apart on the bench, and asking myself, am I going to get this thing put back together? I mean, I didn't have any doubts that I could, but it was definitely in need of some work. So there's just really the one picture there of it all taken apart, and I think I'll probably end the video here. This is probably going on a little bit on the long side, and it's a little disjointed. I mean, I'm reading off the tablet. I'm really sorry about that, but hopefully you're learning a little bit out of this, and I can piece my gibberish here together into a halfway decent video over the next couple of days. Editing this stuff is tedious, just for anybody that doesn't know. It's about as hard as the work on the car. But I think I'll probably go ahead and stop there. We'll go ahead and try to get the next video out faster than 4 weeks from now to try to kind of keep you remembering where I was at. But I'll pick this up probably with this same last picture of me taking this transmission apart and putting it back together and putting it in the car. And we'll hopefully have something a little sooner than this one. So anyway, appreciate it. This is the day before Easter, so for all of you that get together with your family tomorrow, I wish you had a good Easter, because I won't get this out before Easter, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, thanks guys. Have a great one. Bye.